you understand the power of words, then you can use those words in a powerful way. And if you think that I'm a good example, then you can follow my example. And so they want to do you harm, but you've got to be willing to take the stand. Well, I have been given $20,000 a month for my security. So that should give you some indication. And there's a lot of risk. I get threats, and these are people who sound to me like they mean what they're saying, and they want to harm me in ways that would cause me to no longer be among the living. But we have to reform our thinking and understand that everybody has a role to play, and all of us can get involved in peaceful protest.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Tea and Talk by the International Art Society. इस podcast के producer हैं बासित जलीली, who is also the director for International Art Society. इस podcast के जो director हैं that is सुहेल नवाज और मेरा नाम है लीना शाह. इस हफ्ते मैं जिस मेहमान के साथ आपके लिए ये podcast present करने जा रही हूँ, उस मेहमान का पाकिस्तानी community से बहुत ही गहरा ताल्लुक है और ये दोस्ती बहुत सालों की दोस्ती है. और ना सिर्फ इस मेहमान का हमारी जो कम्युनिटी है उससे बहुत गहरा ताल्लुक है, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ हमारी ये मेहमान कांग्रेस में एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करते हैं. अगर आपने अभी तक गेस नहीं किया तो मेरे साथ एक कांग्रेसमैन मौजूद हैं स्टूडियोज़ में, जिनसे आपकी इंट्रोडक्शन करवाऊंगी. और ये वो हैं जिन्होंने कि जब पाकिस्तान में फ्लड्स आए थे उस वक्त बाकायदा ख़ुद पाकिस्तान गए थे और एक बहुत बड़ा बजट अप्रूव करवाया था ताकि पाकिस्तान में जो सैलाब ज़दगान हैं उनकी मदद की जा सके. सो अगर कहा जाए कि ही इज़ अ ट्रू फ्रेंड ऑफ द पाकिस्तानी कम्युनिटी तो बिल्कुल भी गलत नहीं होगा. मेरे साथ स्टूडियोज़ में मौजूद हैं कांग्रेसमैन एल ग्रीन. वेलकम टू द शो.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for being with us today.
It's my preeminent privilege. Thank you for having me.
Congressman, just today when I was coming over to the studio, I was listening to the news on the background, but what really caught my attention was the word civil war. And I'm like, I'm watching a period drama on Netflix, like based in the 1800s. Is my mind playing games on me? Is it that historical piece that I'm thinking about in my head? But then I realized that no, it's actually the news on radio that has said the words civil war in 2026. I'm shocked.
Well, as am I, and I may have heard a similar commentary myself. Here's what's going on. We have a president who is moving military-like forces into cities, and he's doing it without a request from the mayor of the city, without a request from the governor of the state. And as a result, there's this clash that's taking place between the people who live in these cities and states. They're engaged in what I would call peaceful protest. Now, there may be some outliers who are not, but for the most part, they're all engaging in peaceful protest, and the way they're being handled is causing people a lot of consternation, a lot of concern, because people don't want to see people who are peacefully protesting shot by people who appear to be officers of the law. They don't expect that, and that's what's happening. Miss Good, you may be very much aware of what happened to her. She was in her car. She said, "I'm not angry with you," and she turned her car away, and she was shot, and she's lost her life. Her wife said, "Listen, we had whistles, they had pistols, they had guns." Then you have the situation that took place such that a person who was trying to save somebody, trying to help someone, was attacked, and while subdued on the ground was shot 9 or 10 times, depending on who's counting, and some of those shots were in the back. So these things are causing people to have a lot of concern about the direction of the country, and terms like civil war being used, but they're not saying in the sense that we had it earlier. I think that this means the confrontation between people who are officials of the law and the constituents who are the citizens and persons who are in this country. Many of them lawfully, some maybe not, but most of them are lawful persons in the country who are protesting.
Congressman Al Green, you have seen so much. Where do you see this going? Is it coming to Houston as well? Is it coming to our cities? Is it coming to our neighbors?
I don't think we should rule it out. I haven't seen the strong indication that it's coming to Houston as of late, but I would not rule it out because we have a president who is wanting to demonstrate how much power he has. And one of the ways he's doing it is to bring in persons who are with an organization known as ICE. The part of the Border Patrol forces are brought in as well. And they are policing the streets in a way that people find unacceptable. People don't want people to approach them with masks and to take people into custody and take them away. Family and friends don't know where they are for days. This is unacceptable. So you're seeing more people resist, and I would not rule it out coming to Houston, but I cannot say that I see it on the horizon.
Okay. You said we have a president who is trying to demonstrate power to the world, to Americans, to who? Who is he trying to impress?
Well, I do think it is to the world. But in so doing, it obviously impacts us because we're part of the global life forms on this planet. But the president has very much indicated that he is this is a regional power, and he is the person who is the regional force in this area. And as a result, yes, he is trying to show Putin and Xi that he is in charge of this area. He's gone so far as to say we have to have Greenland because Greenland is a part of what he perceives as the area that can help to protect the United States. Now, I don't know that all of this is true, but there are resources in Greenland that he seems to be enthralled with as well. And perhaps it's resources that he wants, but he uses the facade of saying this is a national security land base that would be of benefit to us. Also, you know, we've had the circumstance where he's gone just south of the border, took a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier south of the border so that he could take in Venezuela, and in so doing, he has indicated to oil companies that he's there for oil, but he never consulted Congress about these issues. So he is a person who is using the power of the presidency beyond what we have seen anyone else in our lifetimes. And as a result of this, people are very uneasy about it because of the way he's exerting the power of the presidency. And his Secretary of Homeland Security, Ms. Nome, there's a good likelihood that she's going to be impeached if she's not fired or if she doesn't resign, because this is unacceptable. Her behavior and the way she responds to these persons being harmed, to immediately say the person is a domestic terrorist without any investigation, that's just unacceptable. So yes, he's exerting his power, and yes, he's saying I'm a regional power, but in doing it, he's giving up our global power because the United States has these nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, unlike any other countries, and we have used them to become a global power. Well, he's surrendering that global power to retreat to our being a regional power. I'm not sure that that's a good thing because there are people the world over who have depended on what they see as the goodwill of the United States to come to their aid. What's going to happen to Taiwan if we retreat and become a regional power as opposed to a global power? That's a question that we have to ask ourselves. And what happens when President Xi sees us seizing other land masses? President Putin sees us taking other land masses. Will they then decide
they're justified to do what they're doing in Ukraine?
Why not? If the United States is doing it, why can't we?
You know what? It's so interesting that, when I asked you this question and you were responding to it, and my next question, before I could even ask it, you had responded to that. And then I had 3 different situations in my head that I was going to ask you, but you had responded to all of those. Yeah, that was my question. So becoming a region, so U.S. has been a global power for so many decades now. Everyone in the world wants to come to the U.S. I'll talk about Pakistan especially. People in Pakistan, they love the U.S. The U.S. aid has done so much work in Pakistan. I've seen this on the ground level happening when I stayed there for a few years. And pulling that out is basically, pulling out all this good work that you've been doing all over the world. So U.S. has been very different from all kind of anarchies or monarchies that we have seen in the past. We, people from Pakistan, have seen the East India Company come to us and, loot all the jewels and the herbs and the spices and, conquer us and make us slaves. But U.S. was controlling a lot of the world, but they were doing good work too. Now, they're losing that, and at the same time, a lot of people right now are hating what the administration is doing.
Yes.
What do you think is the strategy here? Like, what happens at the end of this term? Well, another question a lot of people are asking is that is he going to come back for a third term? Because we do not know if a president can have these many powers. Has he expanded the powers a president can have indefinitely, and anyone who comes after him, they're going to be following the same suit? Like, I know there are a lot of confusing questions that I've asked at the same time.
No, but I think you spoke with a great degree of clarity. Yes, the president is assuming powers beyond what other presidents have. And yes, he is, in my opinion, devolving democracy into authoritarianism. That's what seems to be happening. And yes, it's fair to ask the question, will he try to hold over? After all, this is the president who brought January 6th to fruition when he encouraged persons to go over to the Capitol and engage in an insurrection. So yes, he is a person with questionable character, and we do have to ask ourselves, what is the end game? And my belief is that he is preparing us for that end game by sending the military into various cities and doing these things with the military, the National Guard, doing it with ICE, doing it with Border Patrol. He's preparing us for what's to come at the end of his term. My hope is that we will not allow this to happen, that we'll prevent it. I believe that in the final analysis we will, because the people have the last word. But with reference to Pakistan now, I've been to Pakistan on multiple occasions, and I was there when USAID was there, and we had the earthquakes. You might remember those times. I've been there after the flooding. I landed in Islamabad, and I went over to Karachi, and I went on a helicopter out to see the flooded areas. By the way, I went by myself out there.
Wow.
I went to Karachi, and the people were very kind to me, very kind. I have enjoyed a great relationship, not only with the people from Pakistan in this country, but with the Pakistani people in Pakistan. So the diaspora has been kind, but so have the indigenous population. When I was there, one of the things that I noticed and I realized is that the people there do believe that the United States can make a difference. They believe this. And to see us not make a difference is going to shock a lot of people in the world because of the difference that we have made. We've used our soft power, our soft power in times of need, when you need the heavy equipment that can come in and help to move things that are now blocking roadways.
Right.
That sort of thing. We have that soft power that we can bring in, and the absence of that soft power is going to be missed in places like Pakistan. And by the way, Pakistan did something for us that few people talk about.
Okay.
And that is the U-2 pilot. When the U-2 pilot, who was shot down and landed, Pakistanis were very much helpful with that circumstance. And it's not something that's talked about a lot, but Pakistan has been a friend to us. Relationships have their ebbs and their flows.
True.
Yeah, but we have to try to maintain a relationship with Pakistan. It's in our interest to maintain a good relationship with Pakistan, and I hope that we'll continue to do this.
If this podcast was happening like a few years ago, I would be asking you, the next question should be, what can the Pakistani community here do to actually, strengthen or support these relationships between the U.S. and Pakistan? But in these circumstances, people who are living here, in fact, I'm going to ask a question that was put through to me by Basit Jalili, and I love, because he's a poet, and I love how he uses words to describe situations and feelings. And he said something on the lines of that, freedom for us over here is kind of slipping away. The freedom that we enjoyed to become who we want to become, to be entrepreneurs, to have a educated family, to send our kids to school, to move to the U.S. and search and pursuit of the American dream. For those Pakistanis who are here, it seems kind of like it's slipping out of our hands, and it's almost, it always felt like it's too good to be true, because it is too good to be true for someone who's come from a third world country or a fourth world country like ours. But now it seems like it's almost manifesting. Is it?
Freedom is not free, and we all have a responsibility to do our role, to live our parts when we see freedom being challenged. and freedom is being challenged.
Freedom
now.
is being challenged.
It is. It is. Our freedom is being challenged, but we have to protect it. Every generation has to maintain freedom. It's not something that you just have and it's going to be eternal, because there are forces that are antithetical to freedom, because people want power and they want control. So we have to do what we can, and that involves, in some cases, filing lawsuits to prevent certain things from happening, litigation. It also involves negotiation, talking to people who are in power to see if we can convince them that maybe they should do something different. And finally, it involves something called protestation. I'm in Congress now because of protests that took place at the Edmund Pettus Bridge back in 1965 when John Lewis marched across that bridge, and they opened up the Voting Rights Act to all Americans so that people could have the right to vote, and people could, like me, Al Green, could get elected to Congress. So we have this duty to litigate, to negotiate, and to also engage in protestation. These things can make a difference.
So when you talk about protesting,
Yes.
A lot of people are actually scared of protesting as well.
I know.
Because today I also read a really interesting report about the men who are supplying these pepper sprays. And as far as I know, pepper sprays are supposed to be kept on a hike in case you're approached by a bear. So now you see our girls carry them in their bags if they're, night out with friends and stuff. But now it's being used on innocent civilians. The tear gas has been used near kids as well. At the end of the day, is it going to come down to a point where us going out and protesting is going to make any difference?
It does make a difference.
How many of us have to be out there? Like, do you have like a number at like how much % of the people need to be out there to make this difference?
Well, one person can make a difference, but with these protests, as many persons as possible, I don't think you can have too many. So let's have as many people out as possible, and people have to be nonviolent. You don't throw rocks, you don't attempt to assault anyone, but if you are peaceful with your protest, you can accomplish a lot. John Lewis, who was in Congress with me, a great humanitarian, he and I protested together. We were protesting, blocking the streets in Washington, D.C., and the officers came over, they arrested us, took us to jail for protesting. But your protest sends a message, and that's what we're trying to do, send a message to the rest of the population that there's something wrong and we have to do something about it. The people in Minnesota, they saw that something was wrong. They went out with their cameras, their phone cameras, and they were showing people what's happening to innocent people who are being picked up and being pushed around. And that has made a difference. And you see now that the president has decided that he's going to retreat. And I don't know how far he's retreating, but he is retreating. He has removed a person who was in charge and bringing in another person. So protests can make a difference. And I understand that if you come from a country where freedom to protest is not something that's even given consideration to, generally speaking, then when you get here, you bring your thoughts with you. But we have to reform our thinking and understand that everybody has a role to play, and all of us can get involved in peaceful protest. I assure you, I do it, and I'm going to be doing it continuously because I understand the impact that it has had on this society. The Pilgrims were here. They were coming here to protest. That's how peaceful protest is as old as the Pilgrims landing at Plymouth Rock, as old as the farmers coming to Washington, D.C. on their tractors saying, we don't like the way our farmland is being treated. It's something that is a part of the foundation of this country. It is in the Constitution. So we have to utilize that.
Wow, I love that. Thank you so much for saying those words. I got goosebumps right now. And, we need leaders like you and telling us, what needs to be done at a time like that when you're like so confused and so scared at the same time. Your words, Congressman Al Green, one man can make the difference.
Yes.
You have made a lot of difference. I know you are up for re-election.
I am.
Tell us how the campaign is going, how difficult it is, performing, doing all the good stuff that you do and running your campaign at the same time, and what dreams you have for your next tenure.
Well, thank you. I want persons to first realize that there are two 18th congressional district races going on at the same time.
Okay.
Two.
Okay.
One is the old 18th that Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman, was representing, and then Congressperson Sylvester Turner. Well, that election is going to take place, the final aspect of it, on the 31st of January,
Mm-hmm.
just around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And then on March the 3rd, the new 18th election starts. So how do we get in this position? Well, here's what happened.
Wow, it's very confusing. Like
I
people
know.
are having a lot of difficulty understanding what actually happened.
I know. I'm going to tell you what happened. The president told the governor that he wanted to have 5 seats out of Texas moved from the Democratic column over to the Republican column.
Okay.
The governor moved to accommodate the president. And in so doing, here in Houston, the governor, decided that he would take the number 9, which is what the district I represent now, take that 9 and put it on a landmass over in Liberty, Texas. So they drew some new lines, and they put 9 around that landmass in Liberty, Texas. And then the landmass that we know as 9 here, they put 18 on it, and they combined it with the old 18th Congressional District and created this new 18th Congressional District, which is 2/3 of 9 and 1/3 of old 18.
Okay.
I happen to live in the area that they put 18 on, but it happens to have about 500,000 of my constituents in it with me. So I and some 500,000 more or less of my constituents are now in a district called 18. So we didn't have to move to be at 18. 18 was brought to us, the number 18.
Right.
But the people, 2/3 of them are still people that were in number 9. So that election, the election for this new 18 that combines 9, the old 9, the 9 that I have now, and the old 18, making this new 18, the election for a person to represent this new landmass combined with the 2 districts, that will take place on March the 3rd.
Right.
March the 3rd.
So why would they do that?
They did that so that they could eliminate some congressional districts being Democratic and make them Republican. That's how they got the 5 seats.
Right.
So by combining 9 and 18, that's 1 seat lost because you only have 18 now. 9 has been moved to another place where a Republican is likely to be elected.
True.
So they now eliminated the seat. And then they did the same thing in other places in Texas, such that they believe that they will get 5 more Republican seats because of the way the lines have been drawn. They call it redistricting.
Right.
They believe they'll get 5 more Republican seats. Now that could backfire on them because some of the people that they're anticipating will vote Republican in the Latino community are upset with the way the president is behaving. So they may now vote on the Democratic side. So while they won't be voting in maybe the same number of congressional districts, with let's say 9 and 18 is the case, they will still be voting for people who can get elected from these newly drawn seats.
Wow. I mean, my next question I'm emotionally involved in this right now. And my next question I'm thinking should be like, why are they allowed to do all this? But I think that's not the point. The situation is what it is right now. Do you think there's a blue wave coming?
I think so. I think the president has gone too far. You can overreach in politics. And he's done this. He's overreaching now as it relates to the immigration circumstance. He's collecting people, picking them up, simply because they look like they're Latino. So, face, skin complexion.
Right.
People of color are really afraid and under assault. I'm afraid myself because of the threats that I get as a result of being outspoken. So I say to you, yes, he's gone too far, and that overreach is going to cost a lot of Republicans their seats in the House of Representatives. I believe that the Democrats will be in control of the House of Representatives in January of 2027, when we take office again in a new Congress. I think Democrats will be in control.
Wow. You just were talking about that how these things have happened. A lot of times I should question, why have they happened? But now that they have happened and you anticipate there is a blue wave coming because maybe the Latino voters are not happy anymore. Do you think that there is going to be, like, as a result of everything that's happening, more people coming out and voting? And what chances are that the administration is not going to call this another form of election rigging?
Well, I don't put that past the administration. That could easily be the case. That they will claim that it's an unfair election. Anytime something does not
Even though that they are in power, they will call it an unfair election?
Yes.
How's that even possible?
Yes, isn't that amazing? Yeah, but the president, if you differ with him, then you are wrong all the time. When
So,
judges don't give him the decision that he wants to impeach the judges.
right.
So this is the authoritarian mentality that he has.
So, do you think this is all Trump himself? Or do you
No.
think it's the people around him? He lives in this bubble. We all live in a bubble. Like he lives in a bubble too. There is no denying about that.
No, I think he has surrounded himself with people who want to see Latinos removed from the country because the fear is they may get the right to vote. And if they get the right to vote, they may not vote for Republicans. That is the fear. But the truth of the matter is the Latino community is a community of entrepreneurs. They don't come here looking for a job as much as they come looking for work. The difference is if you look for work, you create your own jobs, and they create a lot of jobs. So they're not coming here to just take advantage of a system. They're coming here for the opportunity to succeed within the system that exists, and they're doing well. But the president wants to eliminate them. He's also people of the Islamic faith. He does not want to have people of the Islamic faith coming into the country. He somehow believes that, or at least he says it in ways that people understand, that if you're of the Islamic faith, you may be a terrorist. And that's what he does. He paints with a very broad brush. So Islamic people of the Islamic faith, they're terrorists. People from south of the border, Mexico and other countries south of the border, they're perceived as persons who are coming here with drugs. So he does this. And what he's doing now is, and literally he's doing this, he's sending signals that he wants to make sure that white Americans are the majority in the country. You see, before 2050, there will clearly be a minority that is the majority in the United States of America. He's trying to hold back that inevitability, and he's doing it by putting people out of the country. He has said that if you're from South Africa and you are Anglo white, then you can come into the country.
Right.
But if you are a person of color from South Africa, you can't come into the country. And he's doing this consistently across the board because, again, 2050, clearly a majority-minority country, and you'll see more Barack Obamas getting elected. This is something that the president is pushing back on. He believes in white power. He's not really an integrationist. I'm an integrationist. I want to see everybody succeed. I'd love to see a person of Pakistani ancestry be president of the United States, a female become president of the United States. I think there's enough room in this country for all of us and enough opportunities for all of us to succeed on our merits or fail on our demerits. This is the America that I believe in.
This is the America we have all come for and we all dream about. The whole world dreams about coming to this America. We know you have been very vocal in the past. A lot of videos of yours have actually gone viral, and with your cane. And I suspect there's a sword in there.
No. Well, if I couldn't say yes if that were the case, but no. No.
You know, it's like back in the Victorian times, you know, they would have these swords in there. And I saw this new one with Sherlock Holmes in it, and there's a sword and you can take it off and it's actually a pistol. I don't know how they did that. But because of taking this stand, and you are standing up to the highest power, to the people that the whole world is scared of. Probably I sit here and I do a radio show, probably if I'm in front of them and I want to say something, I'd just be frozen. But you have said those words out loud that have echoed in the corridors of Washington, D.C. How much risk have you taken? How much personal risk are you putting in there?
Well, I have been given $20,000 a month for my security. So that should give you some indication. And there's a lot of risk. I get threats. And these are people who sound to me like they mean what they're saying, and they want to harm me in ways that would cause me to no longer be among the living. I have to protect myself, but I also understand some words of Dr. Martin Luther King. And these are words that are rarely repeated because it shows the militant side of Dr. King. He said that a person who hasn't found something worth dying for isn't fit to live. A person who hasn't found something worth dying for isn't fit to live. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't find something worth living for. But sometimes what you find worth living for, other people find it unacceptable. And so they want to do you harm. But you've got to be willing to take the stand. I didn't get here because I'm brilliant. I'm here because somebody found out what a 90-pound German Shepherd bite's like when they were protesting. Someone found out what being sentenced to a long sentence in jail is like, what losing a loved one to a cause hurts like. Somebody suffered so that I would have the opportunity that I have. So I now have to make a decision. Am I willing to allow the hands of time to be rolled back, or will I take a stand so that the next generation can enjoy some of the liberties that I have enjoyed? I think we owe it to posterity to take a stand. And I tell people, on some issues, it is better to stand alone than not stand at all. I choose to do this. And I don't say to other people, do as I do. I say, I'm going to be an example. And if you think that I'm a good example, then you can follow my example. But if you think not, and your safety and security is more important, and your children, that should be important to you, then I understand. But what I also say is, just support me. Just support me in the effort. Let me speak those words that may be uncomfortable for you to say. And if you do that, I think we then are coalescing, and then we can work together in ways that can make the difference.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. I love those words. I'm going to hold on to those words forever. And I'm going to repeat them right here. If you feel that, the life of your family is very precious and you cannot take that stand, then support the person who will take that stand. And the elections are right around the corner. Do your duty. Go out and vote if you can. Go out and vote early. That's most important. So you're not like stuck in lines the last day. I have a question, because these are the podcast studios are by the International Art Society. Now, International Art Society, and especially Basit Jalili, they have been doing so much, bringing people together for the language Urdu, for Pakistani culture, for diversity of bringing all diverse cultures together. What do you think? What kind of role does art and culture play in making America vibrant?
Well, art is exceedingly important. You spoke of the poet earlier. Words can make a difference. A word is dead when it is said, some say. I say it just begins to live that day. Those are the words of a poet. I'm not that poet. It was Emily Dickinson. And if you understand the power of words, then you can use those words in a powerful way.
Right.
The best example I can give you is C.A. Tinley. He has a poem, "Harder yet may be the fight. Right may often yield to might. Wickedness high may seem to reign, and Satan's cause may seem to gain. But there's a God that rules above, with a hand of power and a heart of love. And when I'm right, that God will help me fight." Words like that can inspire people to do things, understanding that it's not just you alone, but that Allah is there. And that there's protection beyond which we can see, beyond which we can embrace with our physicality, but it's there. And those words can make a difference. The arts also make a difference in the sense of someone who's a basketball player. We saw this basketball player who's 7'5" just make the statement, that's an art, playing sports. And he was talking about how afraid he is for himself. When you hear him saying that, given his status in life, given the fact that he can have security around him, but he's fearful, that makes a difference. People in the arts have always made a difference when they speak up, because it's not always expected that they would, but they have a platform, they have an audience, they have people who listen to them. And because they have this, they can make a difference in this way as well. And finally, I would say this as it relates to the arts. The arts impact culture, and culture can have a meaningful impact on society. For example, the culture that the Pakistani people have brought to this country in terms of the food, which is a part of culture. Language is a part of culture. I want to see street signs in multiple languages.
Wow.
I enjoy seeing people come to events dressed in their native garb.
Yeah.
That means something. Your presence here has made America the Beautiful a more beautiful America.
Beautiful. Wow. Our presence here has made America the Beautiful a more beautiful America.
Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. We should write it down and put it on the back right there. For your viewers, your voters, those who are thinking, maybe not divided, maybe not sure why to vote for you, if you can look at your camera and give them a message, it's yours.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak directly to you. And as I look you in the eye through the eye of the lens of the camera, here's what I would have you know about me. When you're voting for me, you can vote based upon a record. I have a record. You won't be voting about a person who will say, I will do. You can vote for a person who will say to you, I have done. I am a have done candidate. I have done things that have been recorded that you can see, and you can know what I will do because you know what I have done. Example, 3 federal judges. 3. You're lucky in Congress if you can get 1. I have been blessed. We have 3 people who are federal judges because I recommended them to President Barack Obama, and they were placed on the bench. Billions of dollars into this area for ports, for the airports, for schools, for the municipalities, for roads and bridges, construction. Billions of dollars. The hospitals, billions of dollars have come into this area, and I have supported these things. But I've also supported money for small businesses, $9 billion for a small business agency that helps people to get involved in small business. I've also sponsored legislation that can make a difference if you're being discriminated against in lending. And some people do get to face this kind of discrimination. And because they do, I have legislation that would make it a crime to discriminate against you if you're getting a loan. I also have sponsored legislation that would do something as simple as let people know that slavery was a bad thing. In this country, we have not honored the people who were enslaved. These are the people who were here at the beginning of the country. They built the roads, the bridges. They had a hand in building the White House, a hand in building the Capitol of the United States of America. They were not just throwaways. If you believe that America is a great country, it is because they laid the foundation with 240 years of free labor. America got a pretty good head start with 240 years of free labor from people that we call slaves. They were enslaved, and they made a difference for this country. So I have a wide range of things that I've done. And my record is on my website, if you care to go there. And if you care to just read the newspapers, I've printed full-page ads about what I've done. I am a candidate, is a have-done candidate. I have done things, not a will do. So if you vote for me, you can say, this guy's done it. Here's a good reason to do it and vote for him. Or if you want to choose others, I don't say do not. I just simply say, let us vote on our records. And if you vote based upon records, I think you're going to select me as your next congressperson from the 18th Congressional District.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, what you mentioned about, you know, what the slaves have done in building this country. Yes. They were the backbone of this country. I do know that, you know, there's so many places around the country, especially in national parks, where they're actually omitting history.
Yes.
History has been, you know, rewritten.
Yes.
You know, there is there's so many books from those third world and fourth world countries where they talk about, you know, how they're fabricating. We know Prince Louis XIV, you know, he would have someone write down history, which was not true at all. So we would not really know what's going on. But I think the same thing, history is actually repeating itself. So much that we can talk to you about, Congressman Al Green. Thank you so much for being with us in the studios.
Well, thank you. May I extend an invitation? We're having a Black History celebration on the 7th day of February. It will be at the Wyndham Hotel, and we will have more than 1,000 people trying to get in, but only the first 1,000 will.
Okay.
And you can, if you'd like to attend, Eventbrite is the means by which you can get a ticket and come to the event. I invite you, but if you tell me you're coming, I'm going to give you a special invitation, and you won't have to go on Eventbrite.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I would love to do that. I would not be in the country, but I'm sure my team will be.
Oh, we love
they'll
to
be
have
there.
your team.
Yeah.
And
this team, especially our the director for our podcast, Sohail Nawaz, he's got such great experience and the kind of content that he can create.
I would love to have him come.
Thank you
Please
so
come.
much.
Can I give a shout out to Dr. Kadir?
Yes, please do.
Dr. Kadir, thank you so much for your friendship. God bless you, dear brother.
Thank you so much and thanks for being with us. इसी के साथ viewers हमारा ये एपिसोड अपने इख्तिताम को पहुंचता है. If you have any questions आप जा सकते हैं और जाके कमेंट्स में लिख सकते हैं. इस पॉडकास्ट को शेयर ज़रूर कीजिएगा और हमारे आने वाले एपिसोड्स भी देखिएगा. मेरा नाम है लीना शाह. मैं चाहूँगी आपसे इजाज़त. Till then, bye bye.